Austin fell silent. The air felt wrong, too still, too cold, as if the city itself sensed a life slipping away. No alarms blared, no screams echoed, yet something dark was moving beneath the surface, something fueled by obsession, jealousy, and a carefully hidden rage. Inside a quiet apartment on Maple Avenue, a rising star was living her last ordinary hours. Mariah Mo Wilson, 25, fearless and fast enough to outrun anyone on a bike, had arrived in town for a race that could define her career. Her future was a straight, open road. Her past, however, was far from clean, and in the shadows, that past was finally catching up. She didn't know it yet, but someone was watching. Someone who believed Mo had something that didn't belong to her. Someone who was willing to kill to take it back. Mo dropped her duffel bag near the couch, unaware of the quiet danger moving closer. She was staying at a friend's home for the night, neutral ground, a safe place, far from drama. But safety is an illusion when jealousy has already chosen its target. Her phone buzzed with a message from the last person anyone expected to see her with. Colin Strickland, professional cyclist, local golden boy, and Mo's ex-flame. The relationship had burned hot and confusing, a mix of passion and poor timing. But tonight, Colin insisted it was innocent, just two athletes catching up, nothing more. He had a girlfriend now, a yoga instructor named Caitlin Armstrong, a woman who knew about Mo, a woman who hated about Mo, a woman who would do anything to erase Mo. By 8:30 p.m., Mo and Colin left a local pool hall and drove off in separate directions. For Mo, it was the peaceful end to a long day. For the killer, it was the moment everything snapped. CCTV cameras caught a black Jeep circling the neighborhood minutes after Mo was dropped off. Controlled hunting. It paused at a stop sign longer than necessary, engine pulsing like a heartbeat in the dark. That Jeep belonged to Caitlin, and when investigators reviewed that footage later, they would describe the vehicle's movements as intentional, almost rehearsed. But on this night, nobody noticed. Nobody except the person inside. Inside the home, Mo showered, changed, and relaxed on the couch, scrolling through race maps. Her world was simple: training, winning, pushing her limits. It didn't matter if she was exhausted. She was used to pain. She lived in it. He chased it. What she didn't expect was a different kind of pain already waiting for her. A gun, a shadow, a quiet footstep on hardwood floors. The intruder entered through a back door that showed no signs of forced entry. Someone knew the layout. Someone came prepared. Police would later say Mo never fought back. She never had time. It was a precise attack, a point-blank execution. 2 shots, 1 life gone instantly. The killer left without disturbing a thing. No fingerprints, no chaos, no noise. As if they believed they deserved to be there. As if they believed Mo didn't. The friend who owned the home was out of town. Hours passed before anyone knew anything was wrong. At 9:56 p.m., a neighbor heard what they thought were small construction noises. Hammers, not gunshots, because who expects murder in a quiet Austin neighborhood? By morning, suspicion would spread like wildfire. A neighbor walking her dog found Mo's expensive bike tossed behind a fence, deliberate, hidden, wiped clean. As if the killer wanted it to look like a robbery, but couldn't resist leaving a message. Her future, her career, her entire purpose thrown away like scrap metal. It was the first sign that this wasn't random. This was personal. When the friend returned home later that night, the scene inside froze her in place. The untouched living room. The faint smell of gunpowder. Mo lying motionless on the floor. No straw, no screams, just silence. The injustice of it hit like a blow. A young woman full of life, disciplined, talented, kind, struck down inside someone else's home. Not for money, not for survival, but because she loved too deeply or loved the wrong person. The Austin Police Department arrived within minutes. What they found made even experienced detectives uncomfortable. The front door was locked. The windows were locked. Nothing was stolen except the illusion of safety. And then came the detail that changed everything. Mo had been with her ex just hours before she died. Colin Strickland instantly became the last known person to see her alive. His shock looked real. His grief looked real. But detectives had seen it all before. Emotions meant nothing until the facts lined up. And the facts were starting to point somewhere else. Detectives pulled the first major clue from a neighbor's door camera. A black Jeep Cherokee circling the block. No plates visible. No driver identifiable. But the timing perfect. The location perfect. The model identical to one owned by Colin's girlfriend, Caitlin Armstrong. The same Caitlin who had recently learned Mo and Colin had met privately. The same Caitlin who had confronted Mo months earlier. The same Caitlin who acted calm, too calm when officers first questioned her. Her alibi didn't hold. Her story didn't match. Her body language screamed panic. And by the time detectives realized, she was already thinking ahead, far ahead. Jealousy had a face now, and the face was hers. But the final blow came when police discovered something startling. Caitlin had already searched Mo's address online days before the murder. She had driven past the house before. She had waited. She had watched. She hadn't snapped on impulse. She had planned this. The truth was no longer a mystery, only the proof was missing. And until they found it, the killer was still free. The chapter ends here, with detectives staring at the blurry Jeep footage and realizing the unthinkable. The murder of Mariah Mo Wilson wasn't a robbery. It wasn't random. It was a love triangle soaked in jealousy, and the killer had just vanished into the night. Morning after the murder, Austin woke to headlines that felt impossible. Asterisk, a beloved athlete gone. A mystery unfolding. A killer still out there. Asterisk, but inside the Austin Police Department, the tone was different, colder, sharper. The shock had worn off. Now came the hunt. Detectives gathered around the grainy footage of the black Jeep, replaying it again and again. Each viewing revealing something darker. The vehicle didn't simply pass through the neighborhood, it stalked it. It slowed near the house. It circled back. It waited. This wasn't panic. This wasn't confusion. This was intent. And intent meant murder. The deeper investigators dug, the clearer the pattern became. Colin Strickland admitted he spent the evening with Mo but insisted it was harmless. Yet his hands shook when he recounted the timeline. His voice cracked when he mentioned Caitlin like he knew her jealousy better than anyone knew their own pulse. He told detectives something unsettling. Months earlier, Caitlin discovered messages between him and Mo, and the explosion that followed nearly ended their relationship. Caitlin wasn't afraid of losing Colin. She was afraid of losing control. That fear can turn soft love into hard obsession. And that obsession had already led her to something frightening, stalking Mo online, monitoring her races, memorizing her schedule. Detectives recognized the signs immediately. This was premeditation stretching back months. The love triangle wasn't a spark. It was a fuse, long, twisted, and finally lit. Hours after police questioned Caitlin the first time, she made her first mistake. She vanished, not slipped away, not stepped out. Vanished. Her phone went offline. Her car disappeared. Her friends didn't know where she was. Her family claimed silence. It wasn't panic fleeing just as it was strategy. She knew the investigation was turning toward her. She felt it tightening like a noose. And so, without hesitation, she cut herself loose. But killers make mistakes not out of fear but out of arrogance. Detectives pulled financial records and discovered Caitlin had sold her Jeep the day after Mo's murder. Sold it clean. Thick. Cash only. No hesitation. To the untrained eye, this might look like coincidence. To seasoned detectives, it was a red siren screaming guilt. The buyer described Caitlin's behavior as urgent. She didn't negotiate. She didn't stall. She just wanted the vehicle gone, as if the metal itself was holding a secret. And it was. Forensic teams later lifted traces of gunshot residue from the interior, too faint to be conclusive, but enough to feed suspicion like gasoline on a slow flame. The car wasn't the smoking gun. It was the hand that held it. As the investigation accelerated, new cracks appeared in the story, deep, jagged contradictions that cut through every alibi. Caitlin claimed she was at a yoga class during the murder. Detectives checked. She wasn't. Not even close. She said she was home later that night. Neighbors disagreed. She said she didn't know Mo personally. Her internet search history proved otherwise. She wasn't just watching Mo. She was studying her. Every lie Caitlin told became a breadcrumb in reverse, leading detectives straight to the truth. But the most chilling revelation came when they examined her vehicle's GPS. The Jeep had circled Mo's friend's house multiple times before the murder. Not by mistake, not by chance. Asterisk, by design. Asterisk. Investigators now understood the sequence. Caitlin waits in her Jeep, watching the house. Colin drops Mo off. He drives away, unaware he's being followed by a shadow much darker than heartbreak. Minutes later, the Jeep returns. A figure slips through the backyard. 2 shots. Then silence. The murder wasn't an emotional chaos, it was controlled, concise, deliberate. But the killer wasn't done yet. After selling her Jeep, Caitlin vanished into a deeper layer of secrecy. She withdrew thousands of dollars from a bank account Colin didn't know existed. She purchased a one-way ticket using a fake name, and then, like a ghost studying its reflection, she altered her appearance. Cut hair, dyed color, different clothes, different face. She was no longer running from investigators. She was erasing herself. While detectives worked around the clock, a second shockwave hit the case. A tip arrived from a local gun range. An employee recognized Caitlin from a police bulletin, only he'd seen her a week before the murder with a 9mm handgun. The same caliber used to kill Mo. The gun had never been found, but the intent had left footprints everywhere. Suddenly, this wasn't a jealous girlfriend losing control. This was a woman preparing for revenge long before she ever pulled the trigger. At the center of it all was a victim who never saw it coming. Mo Wilson, disciplined, gifted, and grounded in her craft, was fighting for podiums, not people. She wasn't competing for Colin. She wasn't trying to steal anyone's love. She was simply living, but her existence alone was enough to ignite someone else's rage. That's what made it unfair. That's what made it unforgivable. That's what made detectives restless. They weren't just solving a murder. They were seeking justice for a life taken brutally and senselessly. And right now, justice was slipping through their fingers. Days turned into weeks, and the case morphed into something bigger. Caitlin was no longer a suspect. She was a fugitive. The U.S. Marshals joined the hunt. Interpol was notified. Airports were monitored. Border crossings were checked. Her face blasted across national television. But Caitlin had prepared too well. She had vanished across state lines, tracking south toward Mexico. The detectives could feel the story tightening, as if each clue brought them closer not to an arrest but to a chase. Because killers who run don't stop. They hide, they adapt, they wait, and sometimes they become even more dangerous. The chapter ends as investigators uncover a chilling piece of evidence inside Caitlin's abandoned residence. A handwritten journal, pages marked with anger, fixation, and paranoia. Entries describing Mo. Entries describing her jealousy. Entries describing her fear of losing Colin and the belief that Mo was in the way. But the last page wasn't about fear. It was about action. I have to do something, she wrote. I can't lose everything. Detectives stared at the words, a cold realization sinking in. This wasn't a spontaneous act of jealousy. This was a decision, a calculated one. The hunt for Caitlin Armstrong became something larger than a murder investigation. It became a symbol of injustice, of obsession, of a life stolen in silence. Across Austin, Mo Wilson's photos filled news screens. Fearless, talented, smiling in every race. Her story ignited outrage. Her murder demanded answers, and her killer was still out there, changing her face and shedding identities like an animal slipping out of its skin. But the walls were closing in, faster than Caitlin realized, harder than she could outrun. As investigators pieced together her escape route, a single pattern emerged. Caitlin wasn't running aimlessly, she was running with purpose. She moved south through Texas, then vanished near the border. Then, weeks later, a hit. A woman matching her altered appearance was spotted boarding a flight to Costa Rica with a fraudulent passport. The FBI confirmed it using facial recognition. Subtle similarities. The shape of the jaw. The eyes that looked calm but carried something broken behind them. Caitlin wasn't just hiding. She was building a new life. She enrolled in yoga classes under a new name, volunteered at a beachside hostel, rented a small room with a cash deposit, smiled at neighbors who had no reason to fear her, and for a while she believed she was free. But justice has a way of breathing down the neck of the wicked, even when oceans lie between them. Back in the U.S., the journal investigators found became the turning point, not because it contained a confession, but because it revealed obsession, a fixation so deep and dangerous that no jury could ignore it. It painted a picture of a woman spiraling, a woman convinced that Mo Wilson wasn't just a threat, she was an enemy, someone who had to be removed for Caitlin's life to feel whole again. This wasn't heartbreak, it was delusion, and detectives could now prove it. The final piece snapped into place when Colin admitted something he hadn't before. Caitlin had access to his gun, the same make and caliber used in the murder. He didn't realize it at the time. He didn't know it was missing, but now everything aligned. Mother, opportunity, preparation, flight. The love triangle had turned into a manhunt with teeth. U.S. Marshals coordinated with Costa Rican authorities. They monitored yoga centers, hostels, remote beach communities. And then one humid morning in July, luck arrived disguised as routine. A local officer noticed a foreign woman at a yoga camp. Light hair, unusual accent, oddly nervous when asked for ID. He contacted U.S. authorities just to be sure. They sent a photo. He zoomed in, looked again, and felt the egg go heavy. The woman teaching yoga poses under the name Aria was Caitlin Armstrong, America's newest fugitive, hiding in plain sight. The arrest was swift. Officers moved through the camp quietly, cutting off exits. One approached her from behind. Another stepped into view. Caitlin lifted her head slowly, calm as ever, but her eyes gave everything away. Fear didn't flash. Acceptance didn't either. Instead, a cold realization hardened her expression. The race was over. She just wasn't the winner this time. They cuffed her wrists. She didn't resist. She didn't speak, because deep down, she knew the truth. You can outrun the world, but you can't outrun your own crime. Back in the United States, her trial became a storm of emotion. Mo's family sat in the front row, faces carved with grief, hands trembling with the weight of a life stolen too soon. The prosecution painted Caitlin as calculating, jealous, obsessed. They showed the Jeep footage, the GPS data, the gun purchase, the journal entries dripping with paranoia, her sudden disappearance, her new identity, her attempt to vanish forever. Piece by piece, The truth hit like hammer blows. Mo Wilson wasn't killed in a moment of rage. She was executed by someone who believed love was something you protect by destroying anything that threatens it. Caitlin Armstrong watched it all, expression cold, as if still trying to convince herself she could control the narrative. But the evidence spoke louder than her silence. When the verdict was delivered, the courtroom held its breath. Not for suspense, for closure, for justice, for Mo. The jury found Caitlin Armstrong *** guilty of murder ***. The sentence *** 90 years ***. No tears fell from her eyes, no collapse, no apology, just a stillness, the kind that comes when the last illusion finally breaks. And in that silence, something shifted in the room. The power she once held gone, the control she clung to gone, her jealousy, her obsession, her rage, all caged now behind concrete walls. Mo Wilson's family didn't celebrate. Justice is not victory. It's a quiet, heavy thing. A truth that can never fill the space a loved one once filled. But they left the courthouse with something Caitlin could never reclaim. Peace, dignity, and the certainty that Mo's story did not end with her death. It ended with the truth. It ended with accountability. It ended with justice. Caitlin sits in a cell now, staring at the same four walls day after day. No yoga, no ocean breeze, no new identities, nothing to control. Just time. Endless time. Time to remember the life she destroyed, the jealousy she fed, and the freedom she traded for one irreversible moment. In the end, she didn't outrun anything. She only delayed the inevitable. The final shot of this story is simple. A quiet prison hallway, a locked door, a woman sitting alone, eyes empty, realizing the truth. ***, love didn't lead her here. Jealousy did. And jealousy always collects its debt. ***.